On May the 14th of 1948, Israel came into existence for the second time. Isaiah 11, God says, I will again for the second time take my hand and regather my people from all the nations. So they've been dispossessed twice. They've come back to life twice. It's unheard of. But on May 14th of 1948, the British mandate ended, and David Ben-Gurion, the leader of Israel, declared their independence. On the same day, President Harry Truman, our president, recognized Israel as a nation. Many other nations followed suit. So literally, in one day, in May of 1948, Israel became a nation. This is Isaiah 66. Who has heard such a thing? Who has seen such things? Shall the earth be made to give birth in one day? Or shall a nation be born at once? For as soon as Zion was in labor, she gave birth to her children. The rebirth of Israel on May 14th of 1948 was a fulfillment of the prophecy in Isaiah 66.
The days of our years are 80 years, and 10. And if by reason of strength they be 80 years, yet is their strength labor and sorrow. For it is soon cut off, and we fly away. And we fly away. Boy, that don't hit you in the face, I don't know what does. What a way to end the description of an 80-year generation. And we fly away. If that's not talking about the rapture generation, I don't know what does. May 14th, 1948. The date Israel became a nation. If we add 80 years, like Psalms tells us, we get May 13th, 2028. That gives us the dates of the rapture generation, an 80-year generation. It ends on May 13th, 2028. So the rapture, according to what we've seen there in Scripture, has to take place by that date. Then, the next day, which is May 14th, 2028, is the start of the tribulation. I know a lot of you are going to say I'm crazy for setting a date for the start of the tribulation, but you'll see I've got reasons that back this up. So we have the start of the tribulation on May 14th, 2028. Now, to verify that this is the start of the tribulation, let's add 3.5 years to it. And that should bring us to November 14th, 2031. That is 3.5 years to the day from May 14th, 2028. So this would be the mid spot of the tribulation. Now, is there a way we can verify the abomination that causes desolation taking place on November 14th, 2031? In fact, there really is a way we can take a look and see if this is the date of the abomination that causes desolation. Here we go. Here we go. We're going to use a star mapping program based in West Jerusalem at the observation site there. And we're going to show you from that observation site on the date that will be November 14th, 2031. Right there, it's November 14th, 2031. And we're looking at the sun as the moon is coming in. Here comes the moon. We have a total solar eclipse taking place on November 14th, 2031, 3.5 years after the start of the tribulation, as shown in this video, looking from Jerusalem's observation site. This is what will take place. I'd also like to point out that this solar eclipse is coming from Libra, the justice scales. Can you think of a better place for the solar eclipse to come out onto the abomination that causes desolation? A solar eclipse out of Libra onto Jerusalem, 3.5 years to the day after the start of the tribulation, that is all figured off of the date Israel became a nation. There's no gaps, there's no guesswork. November 14th, 2031. Now that's the date of the abomination that causes desolation, and we're going to add that to the 1290 days that Daniel told us were from the abomination that causes desolation to get the date of Christ's second coming. So when you add the 1290 days to November 14th, 2031, you get May 27th, 2035. There it is, the date of Christ's second coming. Nothing hidden, nothing made up. It's all just a straight linear timeline from the date that Israel became a nation. Now, I know some of you are going to start screaming about no man knows the day or the hour. That's in reference to the rapture. It's not in reference to the second coming. This will all be verified, obviously, when the abomination takes place. But I think we've got a pretty good idea that this might actually be the date of the abomination and the date of Christ's return. To recap, May 14th, 1948. It all starts when God returned Israel, and Israel became a nation for the second time in a day. That's the timeline starter. Next up, we have the end of that 80-year generation that saw Israel become a nation. And that's followed by the next day, the start of the tribulation. Then 3.5 years later, we have the abomination that causes desolation, that is followed by the second coming of Christ. The abomination that causes desolation is kind of confirmed with a solar eclipse coming out of the justice scales onto Jerusalem, where the abomination takes place, the very city. And then we add the 1290 days that Daniel told us, and we come up with the day Jesus comes back to earth. There's nothing in scriptures that says we cannot know this day. There is stuff in scripture that says no man knows the day or the hour, but that's dealing with the rapture, not the second coming. If we weren't to know the day of the second coming, we would not have been given the 1290 days to be able to measure it from the abomination that causes desolation. And we know the abomination that causes desolation is most likely taking place underneath a full solar eclipse out of the justice scales. So it all comes together without any gaps, without any trickery. It starts at the day Israel became a nation, and follows right through to the 1290 days that Daniel tells us about. Nothing made up, nothing stretched. This is what we got. I hope you enjoyed.